With all due respect, Your Honor, your interpretation of the evidence is completely flawed and demonstrates a clear bias.
The laws are penned by my dad, and Camille Renee Hollister, who is 22 years old, leans back and throws the line at Judge Frank Caprio. Do you have any knowledge of the charges against you? I acknowledge that this is a formal matter. That's not my intention. David Kern, her lawyer, ascends gracefully. Your Honor, my client is prepared to handle this effectively. Our intention is to settle the fines and put an end to the case this morning. Mr. Kern, please, this court is not a payment platform. The words settle calmly, but they don't resonate. David Kern pauses before Caprio taps his pen once more. Officer Clean, ensure we have the body cam audio signal. Yes, that's your right. Before we go to the audio, please tell us where you are, and if you're 50 years old, do you swear to follow the order in court? The clerk comes forward. A docket of 9,551 has been filed against Camille Renee Hollister, who was charged with reckless driving in a school zone and not yielding to swaying pedestrians. Disorderly conduct involving disrespectful comments directed at an officer. Political intimidation. Punishment by Officer Luis Montero. Traffic and patrol on Monday at 8:47 a.m. Did you receive a copy of the citation from the scene, Miss Hollister? And did you read it too? I stumbled upon it. That's not the same. Mr. Kerna, would you be willing to disclose all of these fees today? David Karna steps up a bit more cautiously this time. Our recommendation is to settle things promptly. My client has no previous criminal record and is prepared to pay all fines today. Counsel, I didn't inquire about her payment options. I inquired if she's willing to talk about the facts. Take a seat. Caprio reads from the page. It requires elaboration. Miss Hollister received an administrative warning last year for speeding in Zone 42 of the same school. Although she paid the fine, she did not take any corrective action. This is not a criminal offense, but it's important to consider the situation. What transpired in the incident, Miss Hollister? Camille shrugged. I paid the fine. The matter is dealt with. Paying a fine doesn't mean altering behavior, but that's not relevant today. It's a recurring pattern. David Kern takes action. My client understands that she could have handled the situation on Monday more effectively. She is now responsible for paying the fines and moving on. Mr. Karna's payment of a fine is solely for the purpose of teaching him about credit card usage. Can you please guide me on Monday morning? While driving to campus for an exam, I was met with a yellow light and Camille exhales deeply. I went through. After I was already in the crosswalk, a man stepped in and pulled me over. The police officer blew my blood out of his eyes, making me look like he had just been arrested. The street was mostly empty. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's safe. The school district is full, and there are guards on duty to navigate the crosswalk if you fail to comply. The evidence doesn't suggest that he was in peril. Instead, it suggests that I had already passed the stage. Let me cite a statement from the pedestrian, Henri Bishop. Camille waves a hand while I was just one step away from the wheelchair, which was quite dramatic. David Kern disagrees. Your Honor, we're introducing speculative harm that didn't come to fruition. The pedestrian was not hurt. Counselor, the harm is not just impact, it's risk. Mr. Bishop was in a marked crosswalk with the right-of-way. Your client's speed and failure to yield resulted in an imminent danger. That's the truth. Caprio then turns to the officer near the sidewall. Officer Montero, please read your story over and over again, Officer Luis Montero says softly. At 8:44 a.m., I spotted the white SUV moving northbound on Hope Street at an estimated speed of 52 miles per hour, which came within about 3 feet of M. The vehicle had parked at the crosswalk and was marked for pedestrians, with Henri Bishop as the driver later indicating. It did not slow down. Bishop, who had to step back to avoid a collision. I pulled over, and when I got closer to the driver, later, Camille Hollister, she said, "This is absolutely ridiculous." After I explained the violation, she took a photo of my badge and said, "You don't want my dad on your case." Caprio stops thinking. Did Officer Montero consider that statement to be intimidation? Yes, indeed honorable. Camille leans forward. I was irritated by the sarcasm. Let's listen to it. The body cam audio was played by Officer Clean. The relevant dialogue begins with a brief static hiss, followed by Camille's sharp voice. You don't want my dad on your side. I'm curious, as my father is Congressman Edward Hollister, who represents the 2nd District of Rhode Island. Did you mention that he is a member of Congress? I thought I was being sarcastic. Officer Montero, did you perceive it as leverage, honor, and an implicit penalty for performing your job? Sarcasm, Miss Hollister, doesn't prevent cars from moving. Caprio heads to his clerk. Did you have any prior communication with the department or the court regarding this case before the today's hearing, Miss Ray? The clerk reads a log. Thank you for your understanding. There was one voicemail sent at 9:34 a.m. On Monday, approximately 47 minutes after the citation, the voicemail was played in a professional and controlled tone. Congressman Hollister's office is responsible for handling case 24-9551. I request that you return the call as soon as possible. David Kern is occupied. Your Honor, my client is not responsible for third-party calls. This is prejudicial and not relevant to the charges. Regrettably, processes are affected. I'm not accusing anyone of a crime, but rather documenting facts. It's honest. Camille squats in her seat. I didn't request anyone to contact me. Could be untrue. Nonetheless, it was deemed helpful. Caprio glances back at the clerk. Is Mr. Henry Bishop willing to provide a brief explanation? Honor him by calling and having a man's composed and measured voice fill the speaker. As a former high school teacher, I was honored by the marked crosswalk near Wheeler School as I crossed on to the next section of Hope Street at 8:44 p.m. on Monday. I had my walk signal and was halfway across when I heard a vehicle approaching at high speed. I looked up and saw the white SUV approaching me, and I stepped back. The vehicle drove past me within 3 ft of my location. If I had not backed away, I would have been hit. There were young children at school on the opposite side of the road. They observed the entire incident. A moment's worth of speed is worth a lifetime of mobility. Camille mutters something in her ear before Caprio hears it. Miss Hollister, if you have something to say, make it clear. I stated that he should have waited, but you didn't, so there's no confusion. Henry Bishop asserts that he is not seeking financial gain, but rather seeking accountability. The purpose of the school zone is to ensure the safety of children. It's not a suggestion to set speed limits. Thank you, Mr. Bishop. The line ends and Caprio accesses another document. Miss Reyes, the prosecution has submitted a text message screenshot. Can you read it now? A ticket was issued to Camille Hollister on Monday at 9:02 a.m. ET, but the person's name was not disclosed. The father assures us that he will rectify the issue. NBD Camille's jawline became loose. It was unmistakable. Let's create a timeline, Miss Hollister. The traffic stop was at 8:47 p.m. and you received your text at 9:02 pp. Your father left an urgent voicemail at 9:34 p.m. You expected someone to move quickly, but if you didn't, you informed someone that your father would rectify the situation, which is not frustration. It's a sign of inequity. David Kern stands corrected this time. Your Honor, I request that the remaining hearing be held in chambers to prevent any public exposure to biased media coverage. Mr. Kern, it's a matter of due process, so we're staying true to our relationship. Caprio maintains his steady gaze on Camille. I have 3 questions for you. Were you driving at least 52 mph in a designated school zone? Yes. And did you not cross the road on your way to work when it's clearly marked? He retreated. I didn't strike him. That's not a no. Did you not yield? Did you mention your father being a congressman during the intermission? Camille hesitates. I concur. It's not a no. Did you invoke his authority? Yes. Your loyalty, I feel like I'm being singled out because of my dad identity. Camille's voice becomes harsher. People frequently rush through school zones and don't show up in court like this. You're not the center of attention. The majority of people don't drive 52 in a 25-foot bridge, or even consider hitting someone in the crosswalk. They never mention any congressman's name while driving under the horned lights, and they never indicate that their family office would contact them after an hour. That's not what we're aiming for. That is the outcome. David Kern is uneasy. Your Honor, Miss Hollister is a college student without any previous offenses. It's important that her future isn't determined by a single lap. I'm addressing this as an opportunity for learning, not for her character. The earlier speeding warning was inconsequential. If we don't speak clearly at this moment, the next consequence could be a child walking in the crosswalk and not moving back quickly. The citation is for 5 seconds, 7, 10, and 12. No one moves, no one speaks. Camille looks around the table, and David Carnes' pen hovers above them. The silence of Officer Montero is followed by Caprio's silent speech, allowing for the truth to be heard. All 4 charges have been vindicated by the evidence presented, which includes body cam audio, the crosswalk CCTV timetogram, and Miss Bishop's statement. Meanwhile, Miss Hollister was driving recklessly at over twice the speed limit in an active school zone and failed to yield to another pedestrian who had the right of way in a marked crossing. She made disrespectful comments towards Officer Montero. She used her father's position in a way that Officer Montero believed was intimidation. Caprio observes, "This court does not deliberate on titles, kinship, or family status. The only thing that matters in this situation is conduct. Miss Hollister, your father's office doesn't have the authority to intervene. Your status does not eliminate the harm." He turns a page. "I also acknowledge the previous speeding warning from last year. You paid the fine, but you didn't learn anything. The warning was informative. This verdict is instructive. The fundamental fines amount to $850, and those who drove recklessly in a school zone were fined $400. $150 is charged for not yielding to a pedestrian, $100 for disorderly conduct, and $200 for political intimidation." Caprio holds up a hand, "But I'm not done yet. I won't be contributing any of the $350 unless you complete restitution on time and in full. If you don't, the money is reinstated and you pay the full amount. To apologize, you must first write a written statement to Henri Bishop, which explains your actions and lessons learned. You will personally deliver it if you wish to apologize in person. If Bishop refuses to meet you, you can mail it and have the court confirm your acceptance. Additionally, the Providence School Safety Program will provide you with 60 hours of community service, which includes coordinating crosswalk awareness events and collaborating with elementary schools to teach pedestrian safety. The program director will present a log to the court. As part of your duties, you will conduct 3 driver education seminars on school zone safety and pedestrian right-of-way. There will be no cameras or branding involved, only education. Furthermore, we will create and broadcast one 60-second public service announcement on pedestrian safety in school zones. The court will verify the script's authenticity without mentioning your family, branding, or grandstanding. Instead, you will provide a driver reflection course that covers the physics of speed, the purpose of crosswalks, and the ethics of complying with regulations. The completion certificate will be submitted to the court. In the 6th round, you will present a 700-word reflection on your learning process with no excess or excessive language. The writing prompts you to write down everything, including Caprio's stance. Mercy is purely an oath-based agreement. Moreover, I'm putting forth some suggestions on the record to the Municipal Court Administration, the Traffic Division, and the Office of the Congressman. 1. Establish a weekly ex parte contact list for all cases. Any attempts to communicate with one another regarding pending cases will be documented and shared publicly. 2. Institute an obligatory recusal or supervisor casein protocol. In the event that an elected official or their office contacts an officer, clerk, or court staff member with a pending case, they must either recuse themselves or request the co-signature of their supervisor for all associated actions. Consequently, it is imperative to establish standardized pedestrian safety enforcement measures across the city, including enhanced monitoring, automated speed detection, and rapid citation protocols in school zones with crosswalks. Finally, launching judicial assistance calls for any form of attempted influence. Reports can be filed anonymously to prevent pressure, intimidation, or political connections. All reports will be reviewed. 5. Provide a high school education module on pedestrian awareness that covers right-of-way laws, the impact of speeding on school zones, and the importance of neutral enforcement. If you believe power should never interfere with justice, subscribe to the court order. The model spreads out and the door opens. A man in a dark suit enters in his mid-50s with salt and pepper hair, resembling the familiar face of those who do podiums and press. "Congressman Edward Hollister, I want to take a moment to address my daughter's case. Caprio is not standing for what he calls an active hearing. I'm not advocating for any special treatment, but I want to resolve this matter in a discreet manner for the betterment of all. Regardless, you are welcome to watch closely. This case is being handled in open court, just like any other case. Camille interrupts, saying, "Dad, this is not your case." Congressman Hollister gazes at her with astonishment. Caprio's gaze sharpens. "This is not something you are comfortable with. Your daughter has been counseled." She possesses a voice. Allow her to speak out. The congressman hesitates, then nods and moves to the back. Over the next 8 weeks, Camille completes the plan. During the first week, she writes the apology, but the court rejects it due to its vagueness. Too much deflection and insufficient accountability resulted in her trying again. Better. At a coffee shop close to Wheeler School, Henri Bishop agrees to meet her. The conversation is brief, uncomfortable, and necessary. He tells her, "You didn't view me as an individual, you saw me in danger." During weeks 2-6, Camille works with the Providence School Safety Program. She assists in assisting crossing guards during morning and afternoon shifts, coordinating safety audits at 3 elementary schools, and teaching crosswalk awareness to second graders. In week 6, she co-administers 3 driver education seminars at local high schools. The absence of cameras or posts is due to the fact that students, patrol officers, and pedestrian advocates are talking through real-life scenarios. In the 7th week, she records the PSA, which includes a section about my family's commitment to safety. The court returns the draft later. She records it again without any branding or family name, just her voice and the truth. The second draft continues, but it will take another 2 weeks for the driver reflection to be completed. The ledger is unremarkable as she completes it without any issues. Henri Bishop recounts the courtroom, stating, "She showed up. I didn't expect her to listen. Is it appropriate to do community service in schools for cases of VIP reckless driving?" Subscribing to the list below will ensure that Camille is left alone in court, 8 weeks after her initial hearing, without any legal representation, father, or support. The submitted documents, apology, service log, PSA, course certificate, and written reflection are all scrutinized by Caprio. "Miss Hollister, I've read your reflection. Could you please provide a concise summary without any scripts?" Camille is correct in saying that speed limits in school zones are merely a matter of consequence. I didn't realize until later that children have erroneous beliefs about speed because stopping distance is an exaggeration. A moment of impatience can be fatal. I didn't just break a rule, I made your man choose between his right-of-way and his life. She pauses. I was completely unaware of my father's position, as I had been relying on someone else for my entire life. The words I spoke to Officer Montero were not sarcastic, but rather my use of unearned power. It's a form of intimidation. What did you learn from Mr. Bishop, namely that people are not obstructors? He was entitled to cross the street, but I couldn't force him to stay. What lesson did you learn from the crossing guards? Every car that slows down is a child who comes home. The essence of speed lies in the way we experience our lives. Caprio nods suggest putting an end to borrowing and building character. After signing a form, he remitted $250 of the stayed amount. But you still owe $600 and will have to pay it off in installments over the next 6 months. The court will oversee adherence. Thank you for your loyalty. Don't disappoint me. The people who taught me what I couldn't teach me would also be grateful. After 4 months, the policies begin to take effect. The weekly ex parte correspondence is made public on the municipal court website. Officers are trained in recusal and supervisor cautioning protocols. 3 cases are reported in the first quarter. All modes of transportation are reassigned without incident, and the pedestrian safety enforcement matrix is implemented throughout the city. In the first 6 months, there has been a 34% decrease in crosswalk citations. The court hotline receives 8 reports of influence attempts in the first quarter, 5 of which result in formal reviews. Camille's PSA is distributed to 21 high schools and part of driver education curricula. It hasn't gone viral. It's not a popular use, but it suffices. My daughter watched the video and slowed down near her school. She stated that she didn't want to be that driver. I appreciate it. On a somber Friday afternoon, Caprio completes his final case of the week with what he considers to be one principle. He jots down the principle on top of that note card and pins it to the bulletin board behind his bench. Power who doesn't listen gets you down. He contemplates Camille Hollister, Henry Bishop's survival, and elementary school students staring at him from the side. He locks the door and turns off the light as a display of storytelling and education, rather than legal advice or reporting.